So today I'm going to do my Superman review. By now, hopefully you have watched the Superman movie and you neither enjoyed it or you like it, but this is my honest opinion on what I think of the new James Gunn DC Superman movie. So here we go. There we go. So this is heavy spoiler alert. So if you haven't watched the movie, go buy yourself a ticket and enjoy it. But for me, I'll tell you my opinion, what I liked and what I disliked about the movie, and let's get started. So overall, the movie starts off pretty awesome. So, like, I know a lot of people's like, hey, it's thrown right into the world, and like you don't really know the origin story of this guy. Like, I'm pretty sure by now, if you don't know who Superman is, you shouldn't be watching a Superman movie. So basically, a skip forward. Superman's already been Superman for 3 years ish, and this is his first loss in a while. And I thought it was really cool because they're like, hey, listen, man, we're just gonna cut all the stuff out. We're just gonna give you right into the action. It's pretty awesome because if you have watched Superman in a while, you don't need to know the origin story. You know, that's not what made Superman cool. What made Superman cool was that he was an awesome, honest guy that, like, you know, wanted to save people, even though he was like, you know, even though people didn't like it. So it was really awesome how they really start off the scene. Boom, he got his ass kicked, and we're going straight into the action. You know you're thrown like right into the middle of the mix, and that's pretty awesome. And after that, you get to see the thing about this movie that made it so awesome was like it dove all the points that the DCU Batman and v Superman was trying to do. You know, like how does Superman work in this modern age with all these, you know, new generations of Gen Z and all these new people? How do like Superman fit in? Like how to make him more relatable? And in the first few minutes, like not even like, yeah, like half hour or so, you actually like see how Superman impacted people and how like he was just trying to do good out of doing good. And even that interview with Lois Lane and Superman in the beginning, it was like pretty awesome because like you knew the interaction that they had already. You knew how, you know, how he interacted with the world and how he didn't care about like all this law that restricts people from being, you know, undermined. So I really like that concept of him actually knowing like what is out there, and how Lois Lane is played so good in this movie. Like, I know they were trying to do her back good in the Snyderverse, but this is the Lois Lane that you need. She's smart, she knows everything, and she knows how to, you know, get things out of interview that, you know, like get the meaty stuff out of interview. And I thought this Lois Lane was pretty good. Overall, yeah, the like going back to the point, I love how, you know, this movie took influence on if you read some of the comics, it's Alex Ross piece on Earth of Superman, and it shows that Superman actually not only was taking care of like, you know, Metropolis, but also other international threats. You know, as you can see from the panel here, here, he actually went outside of Metropolis and started helping other things that were happening around, you know, the world. And I thought it was really cool how, you know, James Gunn just took like inspiration from, you know, certain parts of comics, and he just kind of like iterated it into like his Superman story. I know his Superman story is not based on a comic, but he did took like a lot of adaptation and a lot of like stories which, you know, Zack Snyder Superman failed to do. So I really like that concept. And and I meant like not Zach, but like Lex is pretty cool in this movie. I know people's like, oh, he overreacted. He's like, he's not as cool as like the Smallville Lex and all that. Lex is crazy, you know, in the comics, or in the good comics, the one that, you know, that actually caught the attention of modern day superhero fans, were Lex is obsessive. You know, he's to the point where he's obsessed over Superman. He can't believe like someone so good, so like you know, kind has good agendas. You know, he doesn't believe that. And on top of that, he doesn't believe that they should worship someone that's not even human, because he believes that he is like the most superior of the human beings, and society is now taking fault over an alien. So I understand Nicholas' performance here, and I really liked it. You know, James. The thing about James Gunn is that he took things that were in the comics that, you know, maybe others director were kind of too afraid to, or like skipped over, or didn't read the fine lines, but he took that concept and he made a character that fit certain parts of the comics, well, certain heights of like Lex Luthor in the comics, and he kind of amped it up to like 10. You know, he made Lex that hater. You know, he made Lex that guy that hated Superman. Because in the comics, Lex hated Superman to the point that, you know, he created like literally a kryptonite. You know, he had like a kryptonite armor in order to like beat Superman. That power suit that he had in order to go arm to arm. Too bad he didn't have it in this, you know, iteration of Superman. I hope he does have his armor one day. And yeah, it's pretty awesome how, you know, you see this kind of hate in Lex, and a lot of the other medias didn't do that, and I liked it, you know. And the superhero, the B teams. I know people online saying, oh, you know what, they don't have much, you know, role playing, obviously, because this is a Superman movie, but it's good that you have these characters that had their moments to shine. On top of that, like, you know, they're supporting characters. They're not supposed to have a fleshed out character. Superman is supposed to be the character. These people are just here to make his story like elevated. But the screen time they had, you know, people like, oh, they lack character. Well, obviously not their movie, man. Like, relax. You can't impress everything. Starting with from the left, Guy Gardner. I thought he was really cool. In the comics, he was just this kind of hot-headed Green Lantern, and here he's a much more comedic role. Hawkgirl, obviously Hawkgirl has, like, you know, she wasn't really comedic, or she wasn't like very. She had her stand-up moments like near the end when she was like, you know, doing her little Hulk thing. But overall, I do feel like she is the more underperforming character. Maybe that's the way that she was written, but the actress here, she's been like, you know, around for a while, so, you know, she had to work with the material, and like now moving on to Mr. Terrific. Obviously, he had the most screen time out of all of them. He had like a whole action sequence that was like based on his tech, right? Because I feel like a lot of people didn't know Mr. Terrific, even though he was in like more of the Arrowverse. Mr. Terrific actually had more media screen time than I think everyone here except Hawker, because Hawker was a part of Justice League. But aside from that, Mr. Media, like Mr. Terrific, he gets to shine, you know, and the character is pretty cool, especially the actor that played him. You know, he's very undermined, you know, on his other roles, but he shines in a way that, you know, it brings some comedic humor to it, and I love the way that, you know, the way that they made this version of Mr. Terrific. It's very, you know, like if you literally like a panel of you ripped off Mr. Terrific from the comic. And lastly is Elemental Man, or I don't know how you call it, Metamorphosis. I never knew this character. He was never in most of the media that I watch. He was in the comics though. He had like this really cool power of like, you know, stretching, having like random. He was always a freaking looking guy, you know. A lot of people like in the comics thought he was like actually a villain because of the way he looked. But you know, as you dive deeper, you know, you know, physical appearance is not what it seems. And I thought he was still like some scene stealer because he was pretty sick, right? And you know, halfway through the movie, we discovered that, you know, the message that Superman had from the beginning obviously was not what he envisioned. And, you know, this is kind of like the downfall of the movie. You know, Superman goes into this whole, who am I on Earth? You know, what is my purpose? I love how they did that. They love it. I love it. You know, like, obviously, other media did it like, I heard Smallville did it, but I didn't even watch like the whole season of Smallville in order to get to that point. Smallville to me was like Superman, but not really Superman. They're trying to make a kid's version of Superman. This is Superman. Superman is Superman because he has a suit. If he didn't have the suit, he would basically be Clark Kent with superpowers. But in order to be Superman, he has to have that suit. He has to have that persona. So this is Superman. And I love how they did that downfall, of him, finding his version of what he could be. Well, shake it up a little bit. And yeah, overall, at the end, there is a big plot twist, and I will go into it. Like, how Superman is, he is the strongest superhero out there, and that's something Lex kind of exploited a little bit. But we'll go into that later. And the developing characters. I love the scene. This scene is like one of the most important scene of the movie. I thought this scene, even though it was really short and brief, and you didn't have that much, screen time with Martha Kent and Jonathan Kent, but their role that they play in building who Superman is. And this scene alone, like it brought some emotions to people because I thought it was really awesome. I love the character that they got to cast as Jonathan Kent. He's not as physically appealing as those previous Jonathan Kent, but this is it. Jonathan Kent is not a supermodel. Jonathan Kent is not a freaking guy that used to play Robin Hood and all those little beautiful films, right? Jonathan Kent is a farmer. This guy spends like his days in the field working his ass off, building crops, right? So obviously he has to look a little bit of like the American typical redneck farmer. So I thought this portrayal of Jonathan Kent is kind of spot on, and I felt like this is the thing about James Gunn. He does things about movies that like it pushes the envelope. It's not what like the typical good-looking Hollywood guy is. James Gunn liked to cast the outcast, like to cast like random people, like the jockey, the nerds, like people that don't fit into the mold of like beautiful Hollywood. Obviously he cast Superman, but this guy, he's not like Henry Cavill level. He's still like not that physically appealing. Like but he is. He is obviously. Clark Kent has to be somewhat appealing in order to kind of translate into a movie. Otherwise, people would be like, what kind of Superman is that? But anyway, this scene is a steel show, and if show stealer. So if you like it, definitely watch out for this scene. Okay, and these minor guys, like these guys are here just to like be Lex's henchmen. Like Ultraman. Obviously, I'll tell you after. I got a screen for that. But the engineer, oh man, she's gorgeous. But she's mainly there. Her whole motive is to be Lex's muscle. She doesn't have much character aside from being Lex's extra arm, and the whole the military, the whole the army that Lex built. I don't know if it felt kind of strange at first because I didn't know that in the comics Lex has such an army like this, right? So, and as he kind of deviates a little bit. Lex in the comics was like he always had like these hidden techs, but like he seems like a billionaire who had all this tech who could easily defeat you, but he wasn't really flashy. In this iteration, he's a little bit more flashy. He has henchmen. He has people that work for him that the public kind of know already. Like he literally fought, like beat up Superman in public and literally showed his screen and had like the whole team. So he's much more like exposed in this in this version. Anyways, moving on. Plot twist: Ultraman is a Superman clone. Like I didn't know that. I thought like Ultraman would have been like Bizarro or like, you know, or no, not even Bizarro, not Parasite, or like somebody, or Doomsday even. Like, I didn't even know they got into the Superman clone yet. Like, that's so awesome because like I thought they would leave that for like the second or third trilogy or something like that. Having a Superman clone right off the bat is like, wow, he literally skipped page 4 or 5. He went to straight to 10. You know, if you can't beat him, join him. Right? That's basically what Lex did. I didn't even see that. Especially the same actor that played Superman, that played the clone too, is so awesome. We don't know who the clone really is, but a lot of expectation, a lot of like, you know, theories is that he is Bizarro. It's kind of weird because, you know, if Bizarro was originally a Superman clone, but over the years they actually made him into like the Bizarro world, and they have like the all kinds of stuff. So maybe they are going with the original you know, iteration of Bizarro. But anyways, the bad guy is Superman clone, and it's so awesome because at the end of the day, the final fight is between like two mirror versions. I love it. Like, I love when mirror versions of each other fought. Like, people said they didn't like the whole Black Panther mirror stuff or all the other mirror version of Doctor Strange thing. I love it because it's like, who is the worst enemy? Like, who could beat yourself? Yourself. So I loved it. I love the clone aspect. People might not like it, but I loved it. And overall, what do you think of Superman? I thought it was an awesome movie. This is coming from a guy that loves Man of Steel too. I'm so sad that Henry Cavill didn't get to return as Superman. But, you know, at the end of the day, I love this version of James Gunn's Superman much more than I did Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder, to me, I'll go on that maybe another video, but I think I made a video in the past about it. This version is much more lighter, much more fun. And if you are looking forward to watching more Superman like this, turn to the media, turn to the Justice League, because this iteration of Superman is the one that's mostly a lot of people envision when they see Superman. So it's good that James Gunn did this. Anyways, that's it. Take care. This is my Superman review.